Hello guys, this is Black 16 and our topic today will be means of an athlete. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Okay, hi, I'm Ruben and I play basketball and I play the point guard position.
I'm Jason and I play pitcher in softball.
Hi, I'm Gina and I'll be leading the podcast for today. So our first question for today is, what does being an athlete means to you? Jason, would you like to answer?
Being an athlete means that it's all about having fun. But in order to have fun, you need to train hard, especially at a high level. At the start, like beginner, right, when you look up to players, like for basketball, for example, you see Kobe, then you'll be like, oh shit, that guy damn cool. Yeah, so like, it's a continuous cycle of motivation and inspiration. Yeah.
Would you like to explain your level of competitive or level of competition you're going through?
Currently, I'm playing the under 23 for Singapore, and we are preparing for a tournament soon. And then in the past, I played with Singapore before, and it's like the lower level, but it's still quite up there in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah. So here we have here that Jason is in the under 23, and he's of course representing Singapore, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's all from Jason. How about you, Ruben?
Oh, okay. So being an athlete means being able to dedicate your time and effort to a sport, and also having a passion for a specific sport. And also being an athlete means you discover your utmost potential, being able to see what you can achieve.
So how about you, Ruben? Would you like to tell everyone about your level of competition?
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, I'm training with the men's national team. So far, there's no competition that we're participating in, but in Nanyang Poly, we are training for the Polite this year.
So we're definitely glad to have two Singapore youth national athletes with us today. So today we'll move on to the next question. Later now we're moving on to the next question. Okay, that's all from Ruben. We're thankful to have two national athletes here with us today. Now our second question is, what is your life as an athlete? That answer, Jason.
In the life of an athlete, I feel that apart from training, right, rest and recovery is important. So what consists in rest and recovery is definitely sleep and eating. So training as an athlete means training around the clock, like all day, since you have to rest, eat, and train, which take up most of your time, especially in the day. Or maybe since I'm training at night also, it will take up maybe 3 hours of my night time where I can use it for sleep. Then I feel that now, especially since I'm doing SEM, we have a lot of events going on. So sometimes I need to skip my training just to go for the event. So this means that I need to balance my student life and my work life a lot. Because if one side fall, I'm definitely gonna suffer. Yep.
So that's also Jason's reason for skipping classes. So that's all from Jason. And now we'll be moving on to Ruben.
Okay, so what is your life as an athlete? So I think my life as an athlete is all about time management. As a student athlete, being able to manage both school and training. So like Jason said, training takes up a lot of time, not including the time you need to travel, the time you need to cool down and like recover at home. So apart from that, right, when we still go home after training, we still need to do our school stuff, especially back in year 1 and year 2, where there is also national school and club, so it's all week, and we need to learn how to manage our time better, and also we need to learn how to say no to our outing with our friends. Yeah, so it's also about being an athlete means being to know your priorities.
So it's definitely inspiring to hear that our athletes are very hardworking and knowing that their lives are quite tough, meaning that they have to manage training not just once per day or but twice per day, and really is quite tough for them. So now moving on to the next question. Now for our next question, what does your training consist of?
Mm, if I go specifically, it will definitely be going to the gym and going to the field to practice, like clock in the repetition, especially since I'm a pitcher, right? Pitcher needs a lot of repetition and really get your body to work without thinking about it. So it's like muscle memory. And then for the gym, basically it's split into 2 days, but both is a full body workout. And it's planned by our Singapore trainer, Dylan. And every day we just go through what he has planned out for us, because he thinks that is the most beneficial exercise for us now. So now in the gym, right, we are currently doing a studies with SSI. So this studies is about basically how our bench will affect our throws in game. So now we are trying to work together to find out how we can achieve better results doing our overhand throw. Then for field training, basically it's quite boring for a pitcher because every day we just do the same sets and like repeat again and again and again. Unlike being the batter, because the batter gets to face new pitchers every day, they get new batting sets, so they have a variety of ways to improve themselves. But pitcher only can pitch to the catcher and to the fence. Yeah. So apart from this obvious trainings, right, there are other trainings that you need to know, which is sleeping and eating, because these two plays a very important role for recovery. So for eating, my trainer has told me many times to eat healthier. So I only recently, tried to eat a bit healthier. Yeah, no McDonald's, no nothing. Just like losing weight. Then after that, sleep. Sleep is also kind of important because especially now events, right? I have to do events till late, especially the recent event, which I went home around 11, and I need to reach school. I need to reach school by 10. So imagine the sleep I need, like, to rest and recover. Yeah, that's all.
So how often do you train in a week?
Uh, if I just count my national team training, that would be like 2 field training and 2 gym training. Then followed by my club training, which is another 2 days. So basically, I'm training on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And Saturday, I got twice the training because my club and national team training on the same day. Yeah, that's all.
So it's very knowing that Jason really works hard and really dedicated to his training that his trainer gives him. And was there any time that you felt an increase in your performance?
I think the most improvement I felt was when I was transitioning from going from the U18 to the U23, because that's where I took my gym training seriously, and that's where more gym training increases. So like we get to do more intense workout, like just lift heavy, and then I started to do like gym on my own as well. So like active SG, I try to go as many times as I can until the coaches like ask me not to go anymore. Yeah, so now I never go gym. That's why I'm a bit fat. Yep.
So it's quite interesting how we know that gym can even relate to softball, right? For a pitcher like Jason. So now we'll be asking Ruben.
Okay, so for me, what my training consists of, unlike Jason, we don't separate the gym and the training, the skill training. So we combine it into one day. So we will go to the gym first and do basketball specific movements. So we don't do normal bodybuilding bodybuilding exercises. We do a lot of split jerks, a lot of bench press, and a lot of I can cut this part, right? I'm still thinking. A lot of plyometrics, and so after that we work a lot on abs, because in basketball we need a lot of balance, and core workout is also important to prevent injury. And after that we go to the court, then we do skill training. So for our skill training, we focus on team plays, fast break transitions, just to say some terms, fast break transitions, zone defense, team plays. We focus a lot on team plays because we need to make sure everyone's on the same page. Yeah, so team plays, and also we focus on our individual skill like shooting and ball handling. And then after that, we do some stretching for about 10 minutes, because stretching is very important. It's very underrated, because you won't know the benefits of stretching until the next day, right, Jason?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And so after training, usually what I do when I reach home is I ice my ankles and knee for about 15 minutes. Yes, because this one you won't feel the pain next day, but long term it will benefit you. So that's all.
So it's we finally have more in-depth into the training of Jason and Ruben, which includes not only their skill training but their team plays, team bonding sessions, and even their body strengthening exercises in gym, and getting stronger and more explosive in the sports. So now we'll be moving on to the next question. Okay, for our next question, is there any overseas programs or competitions that you all have been to?
Definitely there is a lot of programs and competitions that I've went to. Sometimes it's not with Singapore, sometimes it's with Singapore. So most of the time, tournaments are with the national team as we compete with other countries in Asia. And recently, I think it was 1 or 2 years back, around like when COVID just started, right? We went to Worlds and we played competition with all the Angmo, and then they were like damn big lah. Yeah. So, as Asians, like we had expectations, but we couldn't like really say it high because we have to face reality also. So yeah, that's all for like the big one. So for Asia tournaments, right, we won the most recent U18. We had second place for the most recent U18 Asia men's. So the first place, of course, it was Japan lah. As usual, they were just dominating the whole tournament, and we really gave a tough fight against Japan. And yeah, there was no regrets there. Then for programs, I feel that there were a lot of training trips, like in the style of a competition, because we had the chance to experience games outside of Singapore and like see the different ways that they play. Because like let's say the Europeans, they use their whole raw strength to play the ball, but for smaller size players like Japan, right, they really like to use speed and technique. So that's like what makes it very different. Another program that Singapore introduced was allowing us to go to Perth, is to see how different players play. Yeah. So apart from national team, right, I said earlier that I went overseas alone, but I went with another crew, which was it was a sponsored trip by StarHub, and I get to go to Taiwan among other choices. So basically, they filmed a documentary called Bootcamp Chen. Check it out. Then we went to a girls' school because apparently the guys play baseball. So even though it was a girls' school, right, it was really tough. Because when I was Sec 3, right, you see this face? It was like bigger. So imagine like getting destroyed by the girls there. Like they were just like damn good. Because they were champions in Taiwan also. Yeah, that's all.
So it's interesting to know that you have your fair share of experiences overseas and competitions as well. But what do you think, especially in softball, would win, the speed or the raw strength and power?
Honestly, in Asia, I feel that technique is the most important, especially and it can be seen from Japan, since Japan just dominated the whole Asia scene with just their technique, speed, and the way they play the game. Like these three is what makes up Asia softball, because we are smaller, right? Yeah. So like in Asia alone, those that really rely on strength is kind of like Philippines. Yeah. So I can say that Singapore is a mix of strength and technique, because we really like to mix the play styles around, and we find what is really truly unique to us. Yeah. And if we go up against the Australian people, right, we might have a harder time to play, because they really um, have a clear mind of what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and then they will use their raw strength to achieve it. Yeah.
So it's really a lot of content base that we heard from Jason. Really a lot of things that we learned, especially from a softball player, right? So now we move on to Mr. Ruben.
Oh, okay. So for overseas programs and competitions, I've been with my school, my secondary school, North Vista, the national team, and my club. So I'll talk about my secondary school first. So we've been to Taiwan 3 times during my secondary school, and it was a very eye-opening experience because we get to experience the culture in Taiwan, which is very I can't say this word. Shack, can say or not? Shack. Okay, so why I say shack, right, is because after a friendly game, when they trash us 100 plus to I was secondary school back then, 100 plus to 40, let's say. And the coach will still scold them, ask them to run suicide. Suicide is when you run up and down the court. Ask them to run suicides even though they win a lot. So it's very strict. And even when they show bad emotions during the game, they'll get to sit down, face the wall. So the Taiwan culture is really very disciplined, and they really work hard to compensate for their size because Taiwan compared to the Americans and the Europes is very small. And what more if in Singapore? So we get to see how hard they train, and what's important is we get to take the good in their culture and apply it in Singapore's basketball culture as well. And then for the national team, we get to my most memorable experience is to go to Philippines, my home country, and play SIBA. It's called SIBA. So there's an under 16 division and a men's division, and it was the first time I played in a very big crowd. It was televised. So what I learned from there was to ignore the surroundings because my focus was this is televised. I cannot make any mistakes. My parents and relatives are watching, so this was very and a good experience for me. And then one more is with my club. We play in Indonesia, and it was a different culture as well. Indonesia is more on a fast paced basketball team, so you have to learn to adapt, and they're also big in size. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's all. Being able to experience different culture in different countries.
So we definitely have known that Ruben and Jason have their fair share of meeting different people with different play styles. And then now we're moving on to the next question. So for our next question, was there any one specific competitor or specific team that you felt was the hardest to go against?
I feel that in my whole career, right, I don't think that the national team games were difficult, so to speak. It's like we are just playing our best, and there is definitely teams that are better than us, and it's expected. because they have been training a long time since Singapore, like before Singapore softball. So like some to name was like Australia, Japan, all the Angmo countries yeah, except for okay, nothing. So rather than that, I think that the fiercest competition I faced was actually when I was secondary 3 and I played against Montfort. Because during that day it was raining, and I was the only pitcher available, and then there was like 3 national team players in Montfort. So like imagine like having to play against them while in wet condition. But I think the only reason why we won was due exactly because it was wet. That's why we won. Back then I had a bit better control of what I can do, and that contributes to winning the game. Especially since Peicai has like 6 tier of fence. So it's like, so the contractor told us that it was the highest fence, and that won us the game because that guy smashed my ball until very far. Yeah, but it got stopped by the fence, so we won. That's all that matters. But if we talk about competition, like intense, right? I feel that I'm not sure whether this is related, but a competition within the own team is especially compared to the competitions, right? It's more intense because like we're all trying to fight for one spot. As you know, softball is a game of 9 people on a field, and 8 can be, you can play any of the positions, but the top 9 are definitely the best. And for pitcher, you only can play that one position, whereas others you can have 1, 2, 3, as many positions as you want, as long as you can play. So for pitcher, if you're not really good, right, you won't be able to start and you won't be able to play as much. So if you want to play as much, you definitely need to train harder than the rest, which is why I feel that the competition within the own team, especially in national team, right, is definitely like the most intense. Yeah.
So knowing that Jason goes through a lot of self-performance type of athlete where they need to elevate their performance to bring themselves above the other competitors. And then so you felt that your personal way of coping with these competitions is to work harder.
I mean, definitely need to work harder even if there's no competition, because you're trying to improve your game. You can't just stop when you just overtaken your rival, because there's no way they'll just give up this easily. So you have to just keep improving until nobody catches on to you, or you make it to the best. Yeah, that's all.
Wise words from Jason. Wise words.
Of course lah.
So now you're moving on to Ruben.
Okay, so I would like to say that any competition outside of Singapore is fierce. I'd like to share one of my experience. So we went to play international competition, and my coach let me play 36 minutes out of the 40 minutes. So what happened in that first competition was that I got sick the next day. Yeah, so I couldn't play the remaining games. So what first competition does to your body is that it will take a toll on your mental and physical health, and it also will affect the remaining of your games. Okay, for Singapore wise, of course there's fierce competition, there's rivals in secondary schools, and that's when you get into the emotional side where you trash talk your opponents, which is not recommended, because outside the game, when you see them outside, you'll see like, oh shit, I regret saying what I said in the game. And so one way is to really get above your emotions and just play the game.
So definitely hear how Ruben focuses on his game. It's definitely to continue being in his zone, help the team elevate its performance. So now we'll be moving on to the next question. Okay, now for the next question, how do you think you elevate your performance above others?
how to elevate. So basically, the way to improve, right? I don't think it comes from training mindlessly for long hours. Basically, as a wise man said, is to train with conscious mindset. So you don't just train like just clocking the repetitions just cause the coach tell you to do it, but you have to clock in the repetition with how you're gonna improve your form, whether it's efficient, and try to clock it so that your muscle memory like kicks in, so you don't have to think about it before you execute the move. Then for a non-technical term, basically you just have to sleep and recover. Cause I remember uh when I was really tired, right? There was like when I was year one, I keep playing game, gym, and train, right? So I have to sacrifice something, and that something is definitely sleep. So I will tend to sleep for like maybe I don't know, like 4 hours a day. So that's definitely like a no go, cause I won't have enough energy for the rest of the day, especially during training. So the coaches actually talked to me, aka scolded me because of my lack of sleep, and I obviously showed it during my performance, which was like really sluggish. Even though I didn't feel that I was really sluggish, they could see that from their point of view, I was really tired and stuff. Then um, I don't know. As a pitcher, you just really need to gym hard, because by going to the gym, it directly translate to your performance. Because the moment you get stronger, the faster you get to pitch. Whereas the better you have to still get some form and technique into your repetitions. Yeah.
Then enough about the competitions, right? So what about your free time? How do you spend your free time coping with all this stress that you have?
Free time cope with stress. I think going to the gym became part of my lifestyle already. Because honestly, the moment I slack off a bit, I feel like I will never catch up to them. So it's quite stressful. So if I don't go to the gym, I'll definitely be stressed. But I don't really like destroy myself in the gym. I try to maintain a steady pace so that I can train normally the next day. Then another way I cope is to sleep, eat, or play game. But every time I play game, people like Isha, my friends will try to stress me out because they're a bit, you know. So yeah, so my stress level may increase when I have my free time. But generally, I try to rest during my free time because that's my only time to sleep, except for class. Because in class, I'm always very diligent. Correct. Let's move on.
Continue.
Finish it.
Oh, this one. So, you can see that Jason's leisure time and how he spends time is very important in not just how he's able to cope with stress, but also um, he's trying his ways in elevating his performance as well, in between trainings and schools as well. So now we're moving on to Ruben.
Okay, so I would like to talk about my mistake first. So how do I elevate my performance above others? Okay, in the past I used to think that the more I train, the faster I'll improve. So I keep training hard every day, every day. I keep thinking, oh, the more I train, the faster I'll improve. Then that's when overtraining comes and takes place. So what overtraining does is that it decreases your performance and you experience some symptoms in your body as well. So due to my decrease of performance, I must think, oh, I'm not training hard enough, I'm not training good enough. So I train more and more and more, and that's when the overtraining symptoms are increased. So what I've learned is that, and one of my quotes on how to improve is that it's not about how hard you train, it's how fast you recover. So deep. So what? So you can elevate your performance above others if you recover fast. So let's say you take a person takes 2 days to train. Why am I talking? My math suddenly gone. Okay, cut ah. Yeah. So let's say you can accomplish I don't know how to say this.
You can complete 2 day of training in 1 hour.
Yes, I'll say this. Okay, so let's say you can accomplish 2 days of training, what another person can accomplish in 1 day of training, and that can only be achieved if you recover fast. So my approach to elevating my performance above others is that you have to recover fast. Yeah.
So, more in depth about overtraining is that when you overtrain, your body goes through stress, and so through this stress, your body performance will start to decrease. However, if your body is unable to cope with this new stress of overtraining, then the body will be unable to cope, and the performance will keep decreasing, and it's very hard to come back up after that. However, if the body is able to cope with enough stress, stressing on having enough rest. Okay.
Chiha listen to his lecture well. Okay?
Cringe.
And the performance will start to increase back up again, and this time even better than before. So that was what overtraining.
Mr. Chinwe taught you well.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the next question. So for our second last question, what do you all have any pre-game routine, or how do you cope with stress, especially during the competitions?
For a pre-game routine, usually like while you travel from the hotel, like overseas, right? Let's say you travel from the hotel to the field itself, I'll usually like just play some songs. What kind of songs? Like those chill vibe or like those sad songs so I feel I got more emotions when I pitch. Yeah. Then during the game, like right before the game, I'll do like more stretches compared to the rest, because I feel that the pitcher needs more flexibility as compared to the other players, because they just really need to just warm up their shoulders, that's all. But a pitcher needs to use their whole body to deliver the best pitch. Yeah. So just like stretch more, do more yoga stuff, and then we go play it.
So now that Jason has thought about his pre-game routine, let's hear from Ruben, who may have a different pre-game routine as well.
Okay, yeah. Very, very different, because I don't listen to sad songs before games. Okay, so my pre-game routine will depend on whether there's a school day or not. So if there's a school day, I'll just go have a meal, and then on the bus just listen to some rap music to get me energized, because usually I feel lethargic before the game. And if there's on a non-school day, if I play on like my club competitions, in the morning I'll go take some shots, practice some moves before, and then I'll take a nap, and then on the way to the competition area, just listen to some rap music again. It's always just rap. Yeah, so
Wrap it.
and then I'll usually warm up longer than others, because as a point guard you need to have a lot of confidence. So pre-game routine is very important in order to get yourself mentally ready for the game. Yeah.
Sure. Can definitely agree that pre-game routine will be very, very special to each athlete. And if the pre-game routine actually is out of order, or misses by a little inch, the athlete itself may actually feel uncomfortable and uncomfortable in elevating the performance on the day, right? So now we'll be moving on to our last question. Now for our last question, is there any inspiring tips you have for those athletes who are aspiring to be high performance athletes?
I can't really give like any specific key advices, right? But I feel like for any sports, like be it softball, basketball, like anything else, right? Being able to manage relationships, your studies, your sports is important. So basically, when I was young in softball, right, my coach gave me a triangle. So every corner, right? Every corner, it's one is relationship, like friendship and stuff. Second one is studies, and the last one is softball. So from these three, right, you can only take two. So the last one that's not chosen, right, will be the one that you're sacrificing. So obviously, I made my own rule and I sacrificed sleep. Yeah. So moving on, right, don't sacrifice your sleep because sleep is very important. You last time think sleeping is not cool, right? Sleeping late is cool, right? Waking up earlier is the better mindset. Yeah. So just try to rest, recover, maintain your relationship, balance your studies and softball. Try not to let your studies go down. Because if you really love the sport, right, you wouldn't want your studies go down. Because in Singapore, most of the parents, 80%, will say if your studies go down, you quit the sport. And then you will have to go to another CCA. Yeah. That's all.
Definitely had the experience before where I was rugby and has C's. So for Jason, he's single. He's ready to mingle.
And my Instagram handle.
He's ready to manage the relationship. So what about you, the expiring?
Any advice for aspiring athletes? I would say just don't give up. For any sports, don't give up. Don't cheat the grind because one way or another, your hard work will pay off. It might not be in your sport, but it may help you out in your career. So also just stay humble and be patient because my thinking is that you will 100% succeed if you work hard. But it may not be in the sport, but it may be other things as well. Yeah.
Remember guys.
You got Mr. Ruben and Mr. Jason here. Wise man. James Wise man. So yep. Ending off, I think that for aspiring athletes, even if you are having stagnant performance, you should definitely still approach your coach and ask what's the best way forward for you. I've been studying for 3 years, you know my timing. So now let's close off and end this podcast. See you.